Here's Brody Brazil.
Well, there's already at least one thing that I can respect and appreciate about the Tampa Bay Rays' brand new ownership group. And that's the fact that even though we knew who they were and the fact that we knew they'd be excited to take over this team, they never actually officially or unofficially said anything until the sale was complete and went through. Part of that is logistics, but also part of that is respect for the process and the former owner, Stu Sternberg, and the fact that the Major League Baseball season was still going on. They've done this the proper time, and now we get to hear their very first takes on things. In this press conference, the Q&A session, you're going to hear about their brand new stadium plans, about what they plan to do with the actual baseball team. This is about 15 minutes here of interaction with the local media. On the left is Bill Cosgrove. He's the co-chair. In the middle is Patrick Zalupski. By the way, I think I've been saying Zalupski the entire time. My apologies if that was a mispronunciation, but he is the lead investor. He's sitting at the middle of that table. And then on the right of your screen is Ken Babby, who is the CEO of the Tampa Bay Rays. So without further delay, let's jump into this press conference. I will interject with some important thoughts as we go along.
Patrick, given the grand vision you just expressed for a stadium and a full complement of other activities around it, can you share where in the process are you? And it would seem there'd be only a limited number of sites that could accommodate that. Have you identified them, and do they include both sides of the bay?
What a question number one, by the way.
We're encompassing all of Tampa Bay.
Tampa and
we're
St.
evaluating sites currently. Part of our arrangement with Stu through the process was that we would not have any discussions with any public officials until we had officially closed on the team, which happened last Tuesday.
And you can imagine they wanted to do that, right? As soon as they knew they were buying the team, they probably wanted to start the process of talking to counties and cities and figuring this out. This is an important piece of what's next. But they agreed, hey, we won't do this until it's officially in our hands. Again, I respect that.
So we're now full steam ahead on site evaluation, feasibility analysis. There's probably more sites that meet the criteria than you would realize.
Interesting. A lot of people think it's down to just maybe 2 or maybe even 3.
We kind of early in the process did at least a high-level analysis of what we thought would meet the criteria. And let me maybe talk a little bit about criteria as well, because that's, I think, a really important thing for us. And land is very critical. We spent a lot of time studying, evaluating, meeting with the Atlanta Braves, have been incredibly generous with their time and resources to let us look at the battery. We think the battery is the gold standard.
That's what everybody says, by the way. Every team ownership, especially in baseball, they want to have a battery. They want to be owners of land. They want to be real estate investors as a baseball team. Seems like the Rays obviously want to go that same route.
Of what we want to build and develop here in Tampa Bay. And, that venue, that development really, not only is it an incredible experience for the fans, the community, the players, but it is what you have to have in today's Major League Baseball to be successful. We think without that revenue generation, it's going to be really, really challenging or nearly impossible to compete with the major markets.
I get that, but it's also a bit scary to think that you can't just be a small market baseball team anymore. Think about that for a second. You have to also own real estate. You have to be a land developer. You've got to be all that to make a baseball team survive, or to make it survive super well, or to make it thrive on a different budget than how baseball owners used to do things.
So for us, this is critical to building a championship team. We have to meet this criteria. We think it's likely, as I said, 100+ acres. If you ask the Braves, they'll tell you, not what was the one thing you'd do differently if you could. They say land, right? More land.
100 acres, 100+ acres. Now, let me just transpose this on the Las Vegas A's situation. That entire site is 35 acres, 36 acres, and they're building a stadium on 9 versus the 100-acre site that the Rays are searching for, Ybor Harbor. And that site, is that even close to 100 acres? Maybe when you add up all the other parts of the development, but certainly not that little piece of where they'd want to put a ballpark. I think that's fewer than 20 acres.
And they're now over 100 acres. So we think, we'd love to be more is better, but it's also a balance of location,
Yes.
quality of location
Yes.
with amount of land. And there's
Yes.
a point that'll intersect.
Yes.
So it's not just, this is 500 acres, 30 miles outside of Tampa. That's not
Nope.
what we're looking for. We want
Nope.
a great location and as much land as we can get.
Check out the tie, by the way. He's already got the Tampa Bay Rays branded tie.
So hopefully that answers your question.
Ashley Kreitzer, Tampa Bay Business Journal. Patrick, if you were a betting man or if you had a goal, how quickly will we see a proposal for our stadium and this development you just referenced?
Wow.
We are just getting started. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. We're going to have meetings this week with, St. Pete, with Tampa, and really just getting our bearings, right? So there's no, other than I think we know that we need we've got to achieve this criteria. We've got to deliver this world-class development to generate the revenue to produce a consistent championship caliber team. We don't want to be 1 year great and 5 years bad and have to go all in. And we want to build a sustainable championship team. And I think the revenue generation that can come out of this development will provide that. So timing, we're getting to work. I mean, we've got a lot to do. It's going to be challenging, but we're confident that we can be successful here in Tampa Bay.
I should also let you know that to start off this press conference, Mr. Zalupski said that they are very intent on trying to open up a ballpark for the start of the 2029 Major League Baseball season. That seems very ambitious. And I'm not saying I regret him saying that just for his own sake and purpose, but that's going to be very difficult to hold up to that. I mean, again, look at the Athletics in Las Vegas. They just recently started pouring concrete, and that's supposed to be done by 2028. That comes with a lot of separate questions. But to think about the fact that they don't even have a site or any type of agreement. We'll talk about private and public funding in just a second, too. So he's already said, look, we can't really be a great baseball team and pay for that unless we do a development. Wait until you hear how he wants the development paid for as well, too. But the ambition of the timeline in 2029, that seems, to me, if I'm being honest, I appreciate that, but it also seems unlikely, especially considering where they're at right now, like literally just getting their bearings and just getting started.
Adam Berry, MLB.com. You've talked about the sustainable championship culture as far as the team on the field. Do you guys expect to continue what's been done as far as investing in player payroll, or could you see potentially more than that going forward?
A great question. I mean, the economics of the club have not changed since we acquired them. And so, again, you'll hear a common theme, obviously. We've got to create this development. We have to have the revenue. It's critical to our success.
That's just interesting, right? Like, I know you need a new stadium, and I'm not here to disagree with that. But to think that it's already got to come attached to, 70 acres plus the 30 for a stadium or whatever, 80 and 20, whatever the split is, like, it's got to come with this development. That's a lot of pressure to do this a single way. Wouldn't this have been easier to come in and say, we've got our eyes on a couple sites. We just need to build the right stadium with the opportunity to build. I mean, here it's just like, it's a lot of pressure to come in and say, I've got a difficult puzzle piece that I need to fit into this overall bigger picture.
Continue what we've done. These guys have done an incredible job. I mean, blown away. The more I learn from Eric and Kevin, it's just, we have an incredible organization. We have a self-imposed rule that none of us and none of the partners are allowed to talk to or have any influence on the baseball operations.
Hey, respect, right? You're the business people. Respect. And for him to appreciate who the Rays have been on a limited budget before their tenure, I can also respect and appreciate that too.
These guys are exceptional. Now, I think we can provide a lot of help on the business side, sponsorship, growing our
There you go.
community outreach, fan experience, and we're excited to get to work on that.
Ryan Bass, FanDuel Sports Network. Patrick, Bill, nice to meet you guys again. Good to see you. Can I have a quick question for you? Sure. You mentioned fan experience. I don't know how big a part that is of kind of your aura in joining this organization from this ownership group. What have you noticed since you've been here? I know you've been here a couple weeks, taking some notes, observing. And then what do you hope to put your stamp on in terms of the fan experience back at Tropicana Field and for Rays baseball?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I think right now, we're just taking it all in and digesting. And I think having the roadmap to getting back to Tropicana Field in April is our goal. We're spending a lot of time as a staff thinking about how we can get in there and make that expression. I think Tropicana Field is going to look better than it has ever looked in April. The city behind the scenes is doing wonderful work. The team is doing work. We're spending a lot of time together thinking about how we can enhance that experience, because we are going to be there despite our objective of being in a new ballpark in 29. We want to be competitive and we want to be successful on the field, of course, but continuing to invest in our fans and the experience, from food options, accessibility, pricing, talked about some of the amenities, and we'll talk closer to the start of the season about some of those new initiatives. But I think right now, I think at this point we're taking it all in. There's certainly conversations to be had, but my favorite part of this has just been being able to talk with fans over the course of the last few weeks, and we'll do more of that through the winter and into the spring. We work in a business where you get a chance to ask your customer every day what we could be doing better, and that's exactly what we intend to do, and that'll be important in developing our fan plan of getting back to the Trop and also thinking about next year as well.
Hey, you only get one chance to make a good first impression as an ownership group. So the fact that they're already trying to say, hey, we're going to make the Trop as best we can for the limited time, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Hi, Evan Axelbank from Fox 13. Good to meet you after weeks of talking about you and writing about you. First thing I just want to ask is, you just mentioned that the economics of the club have not changed. Do you envision being able to pay for the ballpark yourselves, or will you be asking for a public subsidy? And how much will that subsidy be in relation to the previous subsidies that were asked for?
Oh, so let's just recap here. They don't even have a site. They don't have plans. They don't have anything officially spelled out yet. They also know that Stuart Sternberg, the former owner, had something lined up with St. Pete, right, and Pinellas County, and that obviously fell through because the team and Stu backed away. So how are you going to pay for all of this is basically the question here.
Great question. And look, these are high-profile, small community businesses. And so, I think it's critical to have a public-private partnership.
Which means that the cities and counties are going to chip in to some degree.
We don't know. Again, we just closing the team Tuesday. We're excited about that. We're excited to be here today and answer these questions, but we've got a lot of work to do. So how that looks, the structure, is it upfront, is it over? There's so many nuances to how a deal could come together, but
also, who owns the land? Is it city-owned land? Is it a city-owned stadium or a county-owned stadium? There are, in fairness, a lot of variables here. It's not to say that the city and county are just going to hand over money and fork over money to keep the Rays, but what is that breakdown of ownership? Who gets what? Who benefits from what? A lot remains to be seen, but sometimes a team can come in and say, we will do this entirely privately. We own the land, we own the stadium, we're going to pay for this. You don't have to ask... we won't have to ask you for a thing, done deal. They're not saying that here either. So again, to recap, we know that they need the development to be a successful team, and now they're going to be asking for some help along the way. That kind of has been a standard in Major League Baseball.
We're confident that Tampa Bay wants to see us be successful. We want to be successful. I think everybody wants to deliver a championship team, and so this is going to be critical to doing that, and we look forward to working with Tampa Bay to get that done.
And I'll just remind you, there are some other teams that just started their existence. The Las Vegas Golden Knights. Oh, you want a new arena? They paid for it entirely. It is still possible on this scale with this development. Probably wouldn't be the case. 100 acres of development. I don't know that anybody can jump in and do that all on their own. But I digress. That's the way that they're aiming to lay this out.
I know you said that the stadium location would encompass all of Tampa Bay, your search for it. Previous ownership group has tried numerous times to get into Hillsborough County, Tampa, because it's the population center as they saw it. Would that be where you start your search? I mean, would that be the most preferable location on this side of the bridge?
Obvious answer from me out here in California, yes, the first choice would be Tampa, but I know they're not about to say that.
We're looking at everywhere.
See?
I mean, honestly, it's a great region. We just don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into one location or one site. We really want to evaluate everything, be methodical, be disciplined, complete our feasibility.
But all that's going to take time, and you just said 2029. So, again, those two things don't mesh. I would prefer that they take their time, and to this point, to get it right.
We'll generate pro formas and really try to determine which site is going to meet the criteria we've laid out the best and deliver the revenue and the experience we're looking for to create that championship team.
So much of the public-private partnership has to be a win for the community and for the team.
I like that. I like that very much.
And we'll come forward doing our part, but we need the partnership of the community to be able to make this work. And that ultimately will be a public-private partnership that's going to add jobs, deliver value. We think find really unique ways of being able to make Tampa Bay a better place to work, live, and play, and create something, frankly, that isn't here today.
In fairness, we'll judge it when we get to the actual bargaining of it, right? But they're just laying out the guidelines now that they are going to need some public assistance here.
Hi, Louis Slovia with the Business Observer. Kind of piggybacking on those last couple of questions. The previous ownership group has tried this, and unfortunately, it never worked out. What are you doing differently that will make it work this time? And what is your plan B if it doesn't work out?
They're like, please, just don't say anything bad about Stu. We just had a business deal with him. We don't want to throw him under the bus. But what if plan A doesn't work out? Wow, already?
Focus on plan A right now.
Yeah.
Plan A is to figure it out here in Tampa Bay. And again, we're confident that we're going to get that done.
Like plan B would be, I see Orlando Health as a sponsor. I know that has nothing to do necessarily with moving to Orlando, but are we talking about that already?
We know it's going to be challenging, but to Ken's point, it's our job as well to lay out the vision and have the community buy into that. We can't just come and say, well, hey,
That's right.
You have to give us this. It's a partnership.
That's right.
And so we've got to work together. We've got to provide economic reports and studies and work together with the counties, with the municipalities, the cities, to come up with the best cohesive development we can generate together. So,
by the way, his background is in development. So that favors heavily on the Rays side of things.
We're looking forward to tackling that head on. Can you add anything to that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Jeff Patterson with WFLA TV, and I've heard what you said about not wanting to pigeonhole yourself into one location over the other.
I like this guy's voice.
But I also just heard you say we're looking at everywhere. So everybody wants to know what side of the bay you'll land on, but does that include also, when you say everywhere in the region, does that include Jacksonville or Ohio or Orlando? So where are you looking? I'm trying to narrow it down a little bit.
Well, I can answer Ohio's a no.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, I can do that.
I didn't want to put down Ohio.
I've got that covered.
Yeah. But, look, it's our first and highest priority to be successful right here in Tampa Bay. I think that is the clearest answer. And also, to the prior question, we're very aware and in touch with the fatigue around this issue over the last 21 years.
I love hearing that. Now, as much as I was just about to say, I wish it would just close the door on everywhere else right now and say, you know what, we're not even close. We don't even want to talk about that. That's not a thing. We don't discuss it. I wish they would have said that. They didn't. But the fact that Ken is over there saying we are very mindful of where this fan base has been in the last 2 decades in not getting something stable completed.
We certainly haven't lived it firsthand, but being alongside the staff, understanding and listening, so much of this is about listening and asking questions.
It's great.
We know that fatigue is real, and we know that we have a lot of work to do ahead of us, and that work begins today.
That's an important thing to say right there. It really is. I hear somebody
Don
whispering.
Struble, Roundtable Sports. You guys are obviously tasked with air of uncertainty and quite the work ahead to secure all of your future plans. But through more of a short-term lens, how excited are you about the progress of Tropicana Field and getting this team established back in its home after an unprecedented season?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's been a little bit of my home away from home. We haven't been able to have official meetings with public officials, as Patrick mentioned, ahead of the closing of the transaction. What I have been able to do is spend a good amount of time at Tropicana Field and seeing the work that the city's been able to do and our partners at AECOM is doing and the staff. to be able to get this ready. I mean, when I say they've answered the call, they have answered the call in a meaningful way, unanimously, to step up to be able to get baseball ready so that we can open up here in April against the Chicago Cubs. And I think that work is really quite heroic. And when you look, of course, of what the region has been through with not one but two storms, to get the roof back on, to get the building open, we think it's going to look great in the spring. And obviously we're looking at both the short-term goals of getting back, but also finding our forever home for sure. We've got to be a little ambidextrous about the way that we operate. And I think, you know, being focused, of course, on the long term while also keeping our eye on the ball in front of us is the task at hand, and we're up for the challenge.
Hi, Colleen Wright with the Tampa Bay Times. You mentioned that your goal is to have a world-class ballpark ready for 2029, and it would anchor, you know, best-in-class mixed-use development. That sounds very similar to what the previous owners had in line, and it was already approved by St. Petersburg and Pinellas. Would you revisit those plans, or given that time is of the essence, does that make Tropicana Field a more attractive option?
Great question. We think, I'll take the second one, maybe Tropicana Field. I think in the short term, that's a great, we're really excited to get back there, as Ken said. We need to be back there. We need to be in a major league ballpark.
I mean, here's a team that just played one season out of necessity in a minor league ballpark, and they're saying, we got to get back to a major league ballpark. And not to make this about something else, but you've got a team out west in the capital city of California who chose to play in a minor league ballpark for at least 3 full seasons. So here's a perspective of a team that's like, we had to get out of there. And I understand that.
I think the team wants to be there. The fans want to be there. Long term, we're looking for our forever home. And that is in the Tampa Bay region, we believe. It'll be we need a new ballpark. I think that's been, I don't think that's disputed by anybody on either side of the bay. A new ballpark is critical to delivering what we want to accomplish over the long term. Want anything to that?
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah.
Scott Smith, Fox 13.
I always find that interesting when they're just, you know, saying, do we get all that? I mean, you know, they have their thoughts, and they just want to make sure that other people are listening who can express it the right way.
Congratulations, gentlemen. So two-parter, the extension of a lease at the Trop, is that a discussion that's been had yet? And
by the way, the Trop is under lease for 3 more baseball seasons for the Rays. So that would get them to that 2029 deal. And maybe that's why they only want to talk about that as a goal first, because they don't want to talk about a lease extension. They don't want to talk about anything else. They're trying to jump at the end of that lease, but it seems like that's going to have to be extended by just a little bit.
Follow up, you guys mentioned the high-level kind of evaluation process. Did the results of that precede, or was it contingent upon your offer in a sense? Did you pursue those, you know, options, side options prior to making the offer for the purchase?
I think it's premature to talk about the extension on Tropicana Field. As we said, we're just eager to get right back in there in the spring and put everything we can, both, by the way, the public money going in, but the team making the commitment as well to show how committed that we are to returning to our home.
But I mean, you're just returning home. The team's not paying for anything. You know what I mean? Like they're committed to going back. You're under a lease to go back. Your former owner asked the city of St. Pete to fix up the stadium for $60 million. So let's not make it like you're doing them a favor by going back.
And I think that's where our focus is.
Hello, Veronica Brazina with St. Pete Rising. Quick question, and again, congrats to all of you on the purchase, and welcome to Tampa Bay again. But I want to ask, what are your thoughts on the current proposals submitted by ARK Invest and their partners as well?
Yeah, I think we're digesting it. I think like everybody else is, we're familiar with the folks who have put that together. Obviously, we are. I would say energized and encouraged by any development that's happening in the region. We look across, the entire region and are encouraged just by how much growth as you go through and see cranes and development. It's very inspiring, and so we'll have a chance to sit down and understand that proposal and obviously work alongside our partners at the city and understand what that means. But I think right now we're still in the process of digesting it. Yep.
Good morning, gentlemen. Congratulations. Tom Krasnicki from WDA Radio, the radio home of the Rays.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. So have you
Another great voice, by the way.
gone about the process from a baseball standpoint and identifying the roster and maybe key pieces, core pieces that you'd like to maybe commit to for the long-term future?
But they just said, though, right, that they don't want to be the baseball people. They want to be the business people.
Take that one.
You want it?
I just want to reiterate.
Yeah.
These guys are prohibited,
It's a short
including
answer.
myself.
The short answer. Exactly.
Eric just had his press conference last week,
That's right.
and we support everything he said at the press conference.
It speaks for itself. right?
In Eric and Kevin, we trust.
Yes.
There you go.
Hi, guys. Congratulations. Rock Riley, Tampa Free Press, WDAE. I know you said that Atlanta is like the crown jewel. That's an open-air stadium. It's a little more humid down here. Is there any possibility of a retractable roof with the new stadium have built?
Great point on Atlanta. Truist Park is open
Not sure what happened there. A little glitch.
air. We envision a fully enclosed, domed, climate-controlled, non-retractable ballpark. We think there's a lot of issues and maintenance with a retractable roof. Most of the owners we've talked to would actually now recommend against it. They wish they hadn't done it.
Interesting.
So, but we envision a fully enclosed, which we think becomes a world-class concert venue. 150, 180 events a year.
Soccer games, maybe. That's part of the purchase here. The Rowdies are part of this Rays purchase. But again, it goes back to what we've been saying here on this channel all along. Football team, baseball team, if you're going to build a bigger stadium than a typical 18,000-seat indoor arena, you probably are not going to do the retractable roof thing anymore. In fact, even in football, you've got, the Cleveland Browns and the Chicago Bears both considering new stadiums, both with just a roof on it. No retractable roof. In Denver, they're talking about retractable, but everybody's saying here this is the trend. It's too expensive, too many maintenance issues, that they need to go. They want to go indoors because it offers them the opportunity to have year-round events.
I really think this is something that could be much, much greater and more encompassing than just a ballpark.
See? It's a concert venue. Interesting.
One more question.
Oh, he's going back for more.
Ken, Patrick, we heard a lot from you. Bill, I wanted to hear from you for a second.
Sure.
I know you mentioned a lot of your experiences here in Tampa Bay, especially with the Gasparilla Bowl.
Right.
How has that experience been? What have you kind of noticed about the community here? And what will your role be with this ownership group?
Well, I appreciate that. So it's been wonderful. Tampa reminds me of kind of a Midwestern town where I'm from. The people are warm, wonderful, very prideful of the area of Tampa Bay. And so, for our family, it's always felt like home. I think that for my role in this organization, for the most part, this is the way I look at it. I think it'll evolve. Ken has his, he's the CEO. He's running day to day, running the business operation. Everything revolves around him. Patrick, being the control person, speaks for itself. I think I'm here to be another set of ears and eyes for both of them, interact with them, help them out. Us three, we really have a great open discussion. We're a team. It's not really individuals, we're a team. I think I'm looking forward to the impact within the organization. As I said earlier, I have been in awe of the people and the quality of the people and their commitment to Tampa Bay and winning.
Yeah, nobody's ever doubted, honestly, the Rays baseball side of things or their fan base. It's just been ownership and decisions from the very top.
So I'm looking forward to building those relationships deeper and really adding value anywhere I can. I think it'll evolve over time.
Thank you all.
Right.
I know this was short, but thank you so much for attending. We're going to do the photo op and then get over to our staff.
There you go. That's the
Thank you all.
Thank you.
End of the very first press conference of the Rays' new ownership. Look, I've got to say, for as difficult as it is to jump into a situation where so much has already happened, they're just trying to right the course of the franchise, get that forever home. again, just to summarize, I do think it's still a little bit difficult, right? That they're coming in, they don't have a site, they've already put 2029 as a date. They need public subsidies for this. That's going to require votes and approvals, and even that takes time. So, look, I think their intentions and their first impressions that I'm getting from them, they're all good, but a lot of this has to play out. Now we kind of get past the honeymoon here, and we see exactly what they'll be up to. I just hope for Rays fans, obviously the team is centered on staying in Tampa, and that they do this the right way, they do this the sustainable way, but that they also do it the responsible way. Let me know what you think about this entire press conference in the comment section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too. I would definitely love to see you back here next time.